Hello everybody, welcome back to the video, and today I'm reviewing the Thunderbolts. So, let's get into this. I liked this movie. This was a fun movie. So, let's go ahead and start with the stuff I didn't like. I wasn't a big fan of Taskmaster and Black Widow, but they did Taskmaster dirty in this movie. Honestly, you could have just not had Taskmaster in this movie and nothing really changed. But that's honestly my big issue of this movie is why is Taskmaster even in it? But let's talk about the stuff that was interesting. So it had been a thing that had been out for a while that Bucky Barnes would be a elected representative. He is not a good politician at all. And I am someone who keeps up with the news and see how politicians act. He's not very good at the whole politician thing. So honestly, it makes sense he would be more into the superhero side of things. But speaking of politicians, Val is a very good politician. I will give her this. So in the trailers, I didn't realize that was actually going to be an impeachment. Trailers. So I will be honest, fully honest here, I have not seen Brave New World. But the way I figured before the movie even got released that there would be some sort of vacancy in the Oval Office. So I figured that maybe this was a confirmation hearing for Val to get moved up to the vice presidency, because that's actually something that can happen. If there's a vacancy in the vice presidency, the president can appoint someone with approval from the House and the Senate, I believe, to move someone to the vice presidency. So I thought that was what was going on. So it was actually a really good twist that it was an impeachment hearing. Also, the fact that basically the team is basically put together because she wants to destroy all the evidence of the Century Project was actually really good. Interesting way to get them all together, most of them together in a natural way. But let's talk about the individual characters. Right, so it was actually really surprising to see Ghost as part of this team, because Ghost had not been seen since Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I think she was a lot better in this movie, honestly, than she was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Right, so that was a shocker. John Walker returns from The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think he's a little bit better in this movie, honestly, than he was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I wasn't the biggest fan of that one anyway. That's one of the Disney Plus shows that should have probably been a movie, and it would have been more enjoyable. But John Walker is really good in this movie, better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yelena Belova, I think, is better than Black Widow, but I actually really liked her in Hawkeye, and I think was probably more enjoyable in that show. But still really good. Like I said, they did Taskmaster dirty in this movie. They introduce Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, as a elected representative, which actually kind of has something to do with his role, where he's getting the rest of the team as evidence for a congressional hearing, which is actually a natural way to fit him in. He's a elected representative, apparently. So it makes sense that he would figure best way to get Val impeached is to get some evidence. And again, Bucky Barnes, played by Sebastian Stan, is great as per his other role, as his other performances in the MCU. David Harbour as the Red Guardian, funniest guy in the movie. he was the highlight of Black Widow, and he is the funniest part of this movie as well. He really takes the spotlight in the mid-credit scene, which I thought was really funny. And he gets a pretty decent role in the post-credit scene, which I'll get to in a minute. So he was really good in this movie. But let's talk about the big new addition. Lewis Pullman as Robert Reynolds, or Bob as he's referred to throughout the movie, also known as the Sentry. So I heard that Steven Yeun, Glenn from The Walking Dead, had been cast in this role. And so for a little while, when Lewis Pullman showed up on screen, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't Glenn from The Walking Dead, because I was excited that he was in the movie, and then I was a little bummed when he had to drop out. But Lewis Pullman kills it. He is one of the best aspects of the movie, in my opinion, because he is the most nuanced character. He's also the new addition to the MCU. Right? The Century Project is another super soldier attempt, which, okay, we haven't had one of those in a little while, unless Brave New World is about a super soldier project. Because I think everyone at this point kind of knows Falcon the Winter Soldier, anything to do with Super Soldier Serum was dubbed over. And I think the last time we really had a super soldier project as the focal point of a MCU movie was, the last one that comes to mind is Winter Soldier, kind of. Yeah, kind of Winter Soldier. I could be mistaken, could be forgetting something. But, Super Soldier Serum attempt. Pretty cool. Sentry as well. Pretty formidable threat. Here's the thing, he just essentially, attacks the Thunderbolts, but leaves them alive because he says, they're not a threat to me. Why would I kill them? And, I can actually see his argument where he said, he's comparing himself to a god. Val says, well, you're throwing around that word kind of. And then he says, well, Thor was on the original Avengers. You said I'm stronger than all the originals put together, all the original Avengers together, which includes Thor. His argument does make sense from just a pure logic standpoint. Which I hope that's teasing a Sentry versus Thor fight in Doomsday or Secret Wars. That would be an awesome showdown. But ultimately, the Void is unleashed. And the Void is no joke. So, literally no joke. So, terrific performance again from Lewis Pullman when he is the Sentry and the Void. The Void is basically the darker aspects of Bob, for lack of a better term. And it is basically the Void sends all these people to face their biggest fears and regrets, which legitimately, hypothetically, say Spider-Man was just in that radius. What did he see? This is where actually an issue with the movie comes in. I do wish that maybe it was a little longer so we could have seen the other Thunderbolts. Their sort of shame rooms, I think is the technical term. But I think that is a very minor issue. It could have been interesting to expand upon some of them. But who knows? Maybe that's going to be what goes down in Doomsday. Is maybe we find out what was in them. But overall, basically Bob starts punching the Void in the face, and the Void starts overtaking him. So the Thunderbolts give him a group hug, and the Void temporarily goes away. Which I will say that it is very clearly about mental health. And so it's interesting that when you think about it, that basically it's his, for lack of a better term, self-doubt, his doubt in himself. That's what the Void is. It's his loneliness and doubt in himself. Unless I'm getting the complete wrong reading of this. But ultimately, he's able to, it's not stopped completely, but it is counteracted, for a better term, by the Thunderbolts basically just being there for him, which is, it is a heartwarming moment. And then the big twist to the movie happens. Well, what would have been the big twist if it wasn't all over social media? I will say, I regret not going to see this movie at the theaters. The movie itself was better than the trailers. A lot better than the trailers made it look. Man, I really do wish I'd gone to see this one at the theater. But basically, big twist is Val, earlier in the movie, called a press conference to show off the Sentry. She changes it to introduce the Thunderbolts, or should I refer to them by their new name? The New Avengers. Yeah, this was a twist. I think everyone thought they were going to be called the Dark Avengers, not the New Avengers. Or maybe the West Coast Avengers, or some Avengers, not the Young Avengers. But, some other team, not the New Avengers. And then, in mid-credit scene, obviously it's Red Guardian trying to sell a box of Wheaties that has the team's face on it, which is pretty good. And then I think the post-credit scene is just a scene from Doomsday, it seems, where basically it's just the team sort of hanging out right after a mission. Which is fun. It's fun to see these characters interact. I like this team. Do I like them as the New Avengers team? I'm a little iffy on that. Do I like them as a team? Yes, I like them more as a team than I thought I would. But it is definitely iffy about whether or not they're going to be a good Avengers team. But I do like them as a team. But post-credit scene obviously teases Fantastic Four. We'll see where that goes. Actually, really soon. The movie is set for release kind of soon. As in, end of this month soon. Probably won't be going to see it immediately, but I will definitely try to check that one out at the theaters. And overall, for Thunderbolts, I really liked this movie. Is it the best MCU movie since Endgame? No, it is not. But I would say, for post-Endgame MCU movies, this one is kind of in a three-way tie for runner-up. Right? Because my favorite post-Endgame MCU movie is Guardians 3, and then it's Thunderbolts, Deadpool, Spider-Man No Way Home. It would probably be that order as well. That's probably what I'd give it. But overall, Thunderbolts, really good movie. I would highly recommend checking this one out. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's just a really good movie. And that is it for this video. Oh, one last thing. Thou refers to the Red Guardian as an old Santa. Seriously, how is it that very few people on YouTube have noticed that this is a reference to the fact that David Harbour actually played Santa Claus in the movie Violent Night, which is actually a really fun action movie. But overall, Thunderbolts, really good movie. 9 out of 10. That's it for this video. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.